We've made it now, everyone. It's been quite the journey of going through the entire God of War franchise. It almost feels very bittersweet, as I've been playing these basically since I can remember. And with how much these games have done for the channel, I'm truly gonna miss talking about Kratos for a while. But enough of that. Every God of War game is a banger, and the series has never missed. Yes, even Ascension. And Ghost of Sparta just keeps swinging for the fences. Just as with every game, we got Kratos' lovely face as our menu. And Ready at Dawn fixed Kratos' cheekbones this time around. No longer are they sharper than a mirror. I do gotta say I was kind of upset. Chains of Olympus didn't go from Kratos' face in the menu to the first cutscene. Ready at Dawn realized their mistake and fixed it to be a true God of War game. Wow, the visual lift from Chains to Ghost of Sparta is kind of huge. Kratos is looking really clean here, even with the lower res cutscene, because I didn't know about Collection 2.
But this vision, I can change.
Perhaps it is a vision best left unchanged.
Athena has never been in Kratos' corner, and I really like how the PSP game highlights this further. She is still one of the gods, even if Kratos does view her differently and felt regretful in the moment killing her. The whole reason she doesn't want him investigating this further is because her guilty ass didn't want to get found out by the God of War. Hey, God of War 1 started, and here we are. Callback? And yeah, seriously, check out Kratos' model. Compare it to the God of War 1, and this game actually looks better than that, which I find incredible. Art direction and using everything they learned from God of War 3 and Chains of Olympus did help with that, for sure, but this is still a PSP game. Don't stick your Kratos in that, friends. Excuse me, this is Scylla? Okay, yeah, as a Smite player, I've been ruined by some of their more ostentatious god designs. This is not a little girl in a dress, and I was surprised. You always gotta top your first game with the sequel. We are fighting an even bigger enemy this time around, in the rain, with more stages to it. I fondly remember playing this after playing God of War 3 because, fun fact, this game actually came out after 3, which is probably a sales nightmare. But knowing it would be a downgrade from that title, it never really felt like that, just different to fit the platform. Seeing the God of War 3 chests in this game blew my little kid's mind, and was so welcome. They look so good. Along with the chests, there are quite a few things Ghost of Sparta took from 3. The upgrade chests, the bright colored orbs, and these beautiful new and improved save points. All just little things that add to a clean, better experience. After swimming for just a second, remembering this game takes place after 1, I had to see if we still had the Trident. And we do! Always thought that was a pretty cool detail. Not like we kept anything else from the previous game, but that Trident, oh, Poseidon had it coming. Classic. Parry! God of War parries have always felt good, even with just the blades. And the grapples from 3 are here. I love it. Gives level designers another tool to play with to make more creative levels. Even more than 1 and 2, the PSP games have a lot of little lore tidbits that are great for catching the uninformed player up. Ghost of Sparta really cranked it up on the story front compared to Chains, and I think that's why I saw many comments talk about how much you guys liked Ghost of Sparta in the last video, and couldn't wait for this. Yes! And let's just scary red wall blocks your way. We get a lot more physical barriers that lock us in a fight. Say it with me, guys. Just like in 3. I love it, and you know I gotta win it, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you better watch all the other God of War videos, bitches.
Why? Why would you do this?
Betrayed by his mother, by his father, by his brother for a little bit, and by the only god that ever showed a bit of care for him. Kratos coming out the other end with who he becomes in Ragnarok is one of the best character arcs in gaming, and why I was crying my eyes out when he reclaimed that throne in Valhalla.
Who is my father?
This is a bit of a retcon, as Kratos found out in God of War 2 for the first time that Zeus was his father. I do like it more that his mother tells him right before he has to put her down, though. This entire game sets up Kratos' rage very, very well for the start of 2. But I've also seen that she didn't get the word out in time, and that close-up on Kratos' eye is his anger that she transformed before she could say it. But I don't know. There's big emphasis placed on him and the scene, and we didn't need to hear her say it because we know, and Kratos' reaction should tell us everything. But who knows for sure. I like that his mother tells him right here before the gods, i.e. his father, curses her and forces him to mercy stab her. This game was meant to give more context to Kratos' hatred in God of War 2 and showing us that every single family member that Kratos actually cared about died because of the gods in one way or another is a pretty big deal to explain why Kratos would want to kill Zeus and anyone in his way. You didn't take my bad memories away. Oh no. That's the real don't stick your Kratos in there. The gods forced Kratos to kill his own mother. That's kind of the pinnacle of f***ed up. I really don't blame Kratos at all for 3D more. Even if it was a mercy, it's still terrible. I really love how varied the environments are for Ghost of Sparta. From the wet of Atlantis straight to the fiery underbelly, the mountains, and Sparta. The visuals are constantly being changed up on us here. And that brings me to the title, Ghost of Sparta. This game completely highlights the reasons he was given that infamous name, and the irony of it I really love, as this game is the furthest from the Ghost he has ever been before the Norse.
Destined to free us. Gaia foretold of our salvation.
Making a story after knowing how Kratos' ends couldn't have been an easy task. Ready at Dawn smartly creates a story that just builds on Kratos' characterization while also having fun nods to the prophecies such as this scene.
Free me and my power will be yours.
Or I could just not and take your power? Freeing you seems like a lot of work, and Kratos is on the clock right now. Let's talk about the Blades of Athena. I love that we get to play a whole game with them being blue, and then eventually gold at max rank. I was so disappointed in 2 that they didn't stick around in this form. Also, Thera's Bane makes them look exactly like they do in the start of 3, so there's some style points there. And I imagine that we retcon to say that once Kratos joined the Titan War, he got Thera's Bane all the time on the blades, hence their red beauty in the opening of 3. I also really like that Ready of Dawn stuck with the 3rd resource bar and made something new with it. Having a regenerating option was always nice to adding a layer to the combat and never stressing about the bar being too low in a fight. And you can't tell me when everything just goes red from it, it's not the coolest thing you've ever seen. Kratos isn't always strong enough to take down his quarry. Dude is constantly using the environment in fun and creative ways to assist with this whole murder everything that looks at him funny shtick. Ah, come on! Reusing this from 2? Or better put nice, reusing ideas to save time and with a neat callback.
My brother lives. He lives!
Athena's straight up treating Kratos like a T-Rex he is.
There is much you do not know. Be warned. They will all try to stop you.
Yeah, win. Kratos not putting up with her shit is exactly what I love to see. Especially since, like, we kind of don't like her anymore after 3. Something I noticed for going from Chain straight into Ghost is how much better the level and encounter design is here. This is in no small part from utilizing the lesson they learned at Chains and being able to discuss with Santa Monica, as this game was being developed at the same time as God of War 3. Crete really puts on full display the absolute power of the PSP. So much more is going on with encounters, not just push a block here or kill everything there. We're kicking puppies, practicing our Cirque du Soleil routine, putting people out of their misery, the whole 9 yards of what Kratos and God of War is, just on one level. The goal that director Dana Jan wanted to achieve was to push the hardware to its absolute limits, to be the game to look at when you want to show off what the PSP was capable of, and they truly did. I can't think of another PSP game that compares to what Ready at Dawn achieved here. It's seriously impressive and continues the reign that anything God of War touches is amazing.
We've won the battle. Hold fast.
Talk about the ancient times version of shell shock. I always thought this level of denial was delusional, but I think I speak for everyone now that I've experienced Lost, is denial could be a bitch to contend with. Like, even with his buddy failing the classic magician's trick, he still wants everything to be okay. War is hell. And this character is actually named Dominus, which was a reference to what Kratos' original name was going to be. There's quite a few things I won't repeat myself on, as they were mentioned in the Chains of Olympus video. Check that one out in the card or description after this one. But one thing I do gotta say again is how wonderfully the God of War gameplay was translated to the handheld. Not just the combos, animation, and basic feel of the game, but how the control scheme was modified. The PSP is missing both triggers, a right stick, and both L3 and R3, and yet Ready at Dawn found a way to make it all work. Granted, we're missing the rage found in every other title, but I think that's a fair concession given everything else is here. Also taken from 3 is having the buttons for QTEs on the side of the screen corresponding to the place of the controller. Always love that we can focus on the awesome animations in front of us because of that. Love me some center framing staircase fun camera angle with a twist of falling through the fiery wooden goodness!
The slayer of Ares, and now the destroyer of Atlantis.
Just like Kratos being the one to bind Atlas, here we've got him being the reason that Atlantis sunk. It's just so neat how he's been inserted into Greek myth so perfectly, it's like he was always a part of it. And don't give me that bullwinder that he actually is. Yes, there's a man named Kratos with similar traits in myth, but it is not the same dude.
And in the wake of your destruction, you have sunk the only path to your salvation.
Oh, he's a funny guy, isn't he?
Be wise, my son, and turn back now.
My son. This is Zeus after all, and just looking out for his boy.
Spartan warrior never lets his back hit the ground.
Let me just retcon a winded my Ragnarok video real quick.
Father! Off your back.
Daddy saving the day and giving him a quick lesson on what it means to be a Spartan.
You are a Spartan, are you not?
Kratos isn't who he is because that's just him. Being raised a Spartan combined with all the trauma he's faced throughout his life turned him into this. If he didn't have daddy issues and was raised proper, he would have been entirely different. I love to see even young Kratos being this much of a hard ass. It's one thing to say it and another to see it. Remember, this informs so much of how Kratos raises Atreus. He's telling Mimir that he would never want or give that life to Atreus.
Even in death, you stand tall for battle.
Thank you, Lord Kratos.
One might say Kratos was acting quite godly here and being worshipped, huh, Odin?
You cannot stop me. Nothing can.
If only people would ever listen to Kratos. So in this game, we have Kratos kill both the personification of vengeance and death. The dude is like Walter White. He takes on all the duties / traits of a god after he kills them.
All hail the god of war!
I pointed out earlier because of a scene in Ragnarok. Odin is quite a shithead and asks Kratos if he's ever been worshipped, ever been loved. And upon first thinking about it, I bet we all thought the same thing. No. But that's just not true and goes to show how great of a manipulator Odin was, using Kratos' own insecurities against him. Kratos, even if it was just by Sparta, was quite loved and revered. And getting to see him return home in a game, I remember when I first played it, it was the most cathartic thing ever. Of course, the God of War and Lord of Sparta gets the most action in all the games when he's back home. Yeah, he jumps in with Aphrodite and that's going on, but this is just ridiculous.
But by the hands of a mortal, a marked warrior.
It's really neat to get an explanation for both Kratos' scar and his tattoo. The tattoo being in honor of his brother's birthmark, if that wasn't obvious. And the tattoo actually really says a lot about Kratos on the whole. He already got a scar from Ares, reminding himself of his own failure in the moment, but took it upon himself to mark his body forever, just like his brother, to 1, honor and never forget him, and 2, it's still a reminder of his failure that he imposed on himself. And it's quite common for Kratos to punish himself for his mistakes, and this might just be the first time he does it. This scene alone makes the whole of Ragnarok and Kratos' feelings on prophecy so much more enjoyable and understandable. The gods feared the prophecy and sent their lapdog Ares to stop it, directly causing what was to happen next. By Athena and Ares doing what they did led to the domino effect that ended with Kratos destroying the gods. Kratos does not want to be like Ares in Ragnarok and vehemently rejects prophecy, nor in the present games be what Ares was to the gods, which was killing who they wanted killed. It makes you realize how Odin treated Thor was exactly how Zeus treated the gods, treated Kratos and Ares specifically, gods of destruction and power, only used for those things. If you recall, Ares was on a path to destroy Olympus as well. Kratos is much more like Ares than he might even think. Ares gets it though. He's not an idiot, and I believe that's why he answered the call that Kratos gave him in a heartbeat. If he could control the Marked Warrior, then he could be the one to topple and rule Olympus. Using the true Marked Warrior to circumvent the no gods can kill gods rules seemed like a slam dunk at the time. May I just say again how sick the blades of Athena are? Best blades, and you can fight me on that down below the like button. This no doubt feels like a reference to Kratos' brother Hercules, taking down his own giant lion.
All hail Lord Kratos, the god of war! All hail Lord Kratos!
See, he is worshipped, and you'll notice that this is the last Spartan, the man that Kratos accidentally kills in God of War 2.
Face thyself, and your fate shall be seen.
Poseidon's Door said something similar. Kratos seems to be doing a lot of facing himself recently. Kratos' internal dialogue has now become external. He blames himself for the loss of Deimos and just about everything bad that has happened to him. I guess the only way to deal with it is to throw kids at a wall until you break the mirror and have to not face yourself anymore? It's more of a metaphorical way of Kratos killing all of which he blamed himself for, as it's the gods doing that took Deimos away from him.
Your weapons, my lord. I have looked after them as if they were my own.
Kratos literally trusted this dude with his most prized weapons from his time as a mortal, making his death in the second game much more heartbreaking.
Your weapons, my...
Damn, Kratos has quite a few themes, but this is one of the more forgotten ones. Just hearing a couple of notes of it on that cello while being presented with what is undeniably Kratos is awesome. He's always been given weapons or used magic that had nothing to do with him outside of the Spartan magic on 3. So this spear means a lot. Oh, but yes. Until Draupnir, these were my favorite weapons in all of God of War. There's a simplicity behind a shield and spear that you just can't beat. And I love there are certain movements in this set that could be seen in God of War Ragnarok. I mean, hell, we basically get this back in Valhalla with the Spartan Aspis. And Draupnir is basically this weapon down to the red wrap. Spearhead and infinite spears, but with an explanation the second time around. I mean, hell, even the parry looks exactly as it does in the newer games. Like, seriously, guys. Draupnir is just the Arms of Sparta updated. This move here is one of the runics, as is this one, and some shield attacks the same. So, retroactive win again for Ragnarok that I missed in my hour and 40 minutes of that video. Check that out if you haven't seen it. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever made. And it makes perfect sense that Kratos' blood that he gave to Lydia the Forge would end up bringing in the arms of Sparta, a bit of home to defend his new one. That always got a chuckle out of me. The god of death is no chill. My god, I know there's a ton of Greek myths for Kratos to enjoy, but we're just walking in on one happening. It's silly, but I love going through the Greek saga and experiencing these myths that I learned of as a kid in a new light. Bet Midas is trying to open a hell chest. You see, I was wondering why Kratos was doing this to Midas at first. I figured it out pretty quick, but that brings me to an interesting point. Kratos is still thinking while we're playing as him. He was formulating his plan and seeing Midas turn the lava to gold informed him on what to do next. But he doesn't weirdly speak out loud or have some small companion with him to bounce off of. It's kind of rare nowadays, I think, to not have a character constantly quipping or having someone to bounce off of in the game. It's refreshing. It leads to my dumbass being like, Kratos, why are you doing this? Since he won't just outright tell me. It's kind of that he kills Midas because the dude was just insane in defending himself. Plus, he was cursed by the gods and accidentally killed his daughter because of it. Just like a certain someone we know. Would have been cool to see them relate, but maybe Kratos already knew all this, and like my point above states, he was just putting him out of his misery as the benevolent god that he is.
You have desecrated my kingdom!
Ghost of Sparta also adds more context to Poseidon talking all that shit at the start of 3. It makes his final battle feel more personal than just killing one of the big 3 at the start, because that'd be cool. Just look how beautiful they are. That golden glow. It's enough to make a grown man cry.
I was there for you, Kratos. You had to be saved.
Athena wants to rule Olympus and is goddess of wisdom, not war like Ares. She has the patience to play a longer game than the rage-fueled Ares, who saw Kratos for what he was and wanted to end him then and there. Athena may have cared for Kratos to some capacity, but her desire for Olympus has always outweighed that.
You should have saved him. I should have saved him.
God, TC Carson is so good. When he brings Kratos' voice down and softens up, which is rare, he sounds quite normal. I would love a fun little extra where Santa Monica has Carson do some reads of the Norse script. Imagine it being Carson yelling at baby Atreus, or more specifically, there are consequences to killing a god! Would have gone so hard.
And you will stay out of my way.
And the thing is, like, the only smart god that does so. This is like our boat captain of this game. Dude just pops up, talks shit, and then dies. Can't say it didn't entertain me. I think I've seen this saw trap before. I really miss the platforming side of God of War. Not just with the modern games, but even after 1, they really pulled back on the platforming challenges. I'm thinking specifically about the Hades beams, Underworld Towers, and the Cliffs of Madness. The 3 pillars were combat, puzzles, and platforming, and I'll say this, I think Ghost of Sparta hits all 3 really, really well.
Did you think I would forget?
I love how he grabs Kratos' scar. That's a forever reminder of that day. But more so, that scar is representative of Kratos trying to save his brother. You can see how far his mind is gone, that not even the physical reminder can bring him to understanding. And now, just like Mama, we gotta fight Deimos. The gods are cruel. And it's really interesting that he holds a gauntlet very similar to that of Zeus's in Chains of Olympus. It's on the opposite side of his body from that of his birthmark, showing his torn nature between what he is and what the gods have done to him. Kratos is finally getting what he wants, you might say. The only thing he has left in this world is the possibility that his brother is alive, and this is how he finds him. Nothing left to do except lay there and just take it. And with how fast Deimos is about to 180 on his feelings with Kratos, I imagine that it's the gauntlet that was helping drive his hatred for his brother. It's pretty silly quick, but seeing that Kratos came back for him even after almost beating the ash out of him could be enough to get through to him. As he accepts the spear, the camera slides over Deimos' shoulder to show his new allegiance to each other.
The gods decide, and the Sisters of Fate make it so.
And if someone was to kill the Sisters of Fate, what would happen then, Thanatos?
You are nothing but a pawn in a game you don't even know is being played.
Hinting towards Guy's betrayal in 3, eh? Seeing these brothers fight together and Kratos rely on his brother is so cute. It almost brings a tear in my eye. Kratos. This Kratos asking for help. I love it. Just some straight up beautiful teamwork. Oh, there's a second phase. Biblically accurate angels be like. But how neat that underneath the god of death is a bright shining light. Maybe that's why people see lights when they die. Because they're seeing the inside of Thanatos. He descends from above you. You guys see it? I'm getting at it right? Right? Right, booty hole! You know I gotta win the sauce. The one time Kratos enters a rage mode in this game is after his brother dies, so everything is actually here! I appreciate that Kratos has always got to do an intimidation walk at his enemies before finishing them off, stretching from the god of death even to the lowest dissenter. When a god is killed, either someone takes their place or the domain is left empty and people suffer. Given that people still seem to die just fine, I like to assume Kratos has now become the god of war, death, and vengeance if we were to tally all the main gods he's killed. No, I'm not saying he's become the god of spring for killing Persephone, because that's not how my headcanon works. Man, calling this the path of solitude is painful. This is truly the final moment that Kratos has ever had somebody until the Norse saga. Athena and him pretty much break up at the end of this game, so he's left on his own. Kratos, once again having nothing and no one, turns to the bluffs, but stops himself. It's time for the gods to pay and feel even an ounce of pain of what they've dealt to him.
By the gods, what have I become?
Kratos realizes now what the gods have turned him into, beyond what his deal with Ares did. Through chasing his own prophecy of trying to change fate and save his brother and mother, he doomed them both to death. Just another notch in the belt for Kratos' hesitance in Ragnarok.
Death, the destroyer of worlds.
Kratos has become Oppie, everybody! But there's the confirmation that he isn't truly the god of war anymore, and has become the god of death. And maybe he's still both. Zeus seems to see quite clearly now and knows what must be done. Gives a much greater context for even Zeus' decision to kill Kratos at the start of the next game.
It is not over. The gods will pay for this.
The perfect lead into God of War 2. I've already played the game, and it still gets me hype as almost as much as the end of 2 does.
Forgive me, brother.
And just like with Ares, she had to deal with another conquering god of war. Kratos even gets big and decimates the city, just like Ares did in 1, becoming the one thing he swore to destroy, and the gods pushed him towards it because of prophecy. This is her apologizing for what she's about to do to Kratos. God of War Ghost of Sparta is one of the better stories told in the franchise, and if you're curious as to why this is, it's because it's a freaking Cory Barlog solely that wrote the game. You know, the guy that wrote 1, 2, and 2018, and then went on to direct and creatively direct the Norse games. This dude knows his character inside and out, and it shows. This story wasn't necessary to understand Kratos' motivations in the second game, but boy does that game benefit because of it. Seeing even just beyond Ares what the gods have directly done to him helps immensely on his hatred for them. Coupled with these PSP games, he's constantly confronting those who are suffering because of the gods' choices, which pushes him further to not desire to be one and destroy them. This game's overall theme is pretty much that of Ragnarok. Those who try to run away or control fate are destined to live it. Kratos tries to save his mother and brother throughout the game and get them killed. The gods want the marked warrior imprisoned as he is to destroy Olympus, and that leads directly to Kratos' hatred of the gods and their death. This game wasn't needed to get us to 3, but having the story should almost be required playing to really understand where Kratos is coming from and who he is. He has only ever done what he's told his entire life, from growing up as a Spartan to making his deal with Ares, and then being the gods' lapdog and listening to them. Deimos is the straw that broke the camel's back. To punish someone because of something they might do is unforgivable. Something that Athena desperately needs from Kratos and never gets it. Leading to the badass ending that makes me want to replay 2 and 3 again after finishing this video. On the gameplay side of things, it's pretty top tier. Ghost of Sparta released 8 months after God of War 3 came out. It was a weird release schedule for sure, having the series be concluded, but another 2 games actually on the way. I digress. Having 3 come out first massively benefited this game and the gameplay department, as I'm sure after 3 released, members of the main team are pulled to work on this one, because it plays so beautifully. I'm not going to say it's as good as 3, because those PS3 engine upgrades still hold up today, but just as good as any other game before it. Hell, they even bring in some combos from the Blade of Exile, just for the hell of it. Perfect combat that lines up with level design that's as polished as ever, with a story that rivals the mainline games. That's why Ghost of Sparta is great, and kind of a sleeper hit that not many played because of platform limitations and its release timing. I implore you to give this game a shot if you can. Remember, drive the speed limit, drink some water, and love one another. And if you want more God of War content, you can click on the left video to see my coverage of the whole trilogy, or the right to get started on God of War 2018. Pizza, everybody.